Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with Mike Gallagher to walk you through today's 7-game slate, a nice, clean, mid-sized slate after the madness of in-season tournament action last night, the conclusion of group play. I didn't get to watch as much basketball as I would have liked last night because I have a Tuesday tennis outing that I play doubles with some friends every Tuesday. But it seemed like, just checking in on social media, everybody seemed to be enjoying the group play, with the exception of coaches and some players. I saw some coaches there that they didn't love the point differential stuff. But Mike, how are you feeling post group play and pre in-season tournament quarterfinals?
Yeah, it was exciting. I couldn't write. I always try to write when I'm, for matchups for the next day. I couldn't do it. The action was too good. I love seeing the hack and drumming. I love seeing the strategy behind it. It was really cool. I'm pretty happy with how we handled minutes. A couple things we were light on, like we were a little light on the Knicks, but overall, I think pushing guys up was the right play. So yeah, hopefully, things kind of worked out projections wise overall. But yeah, nice little slate today. A lot of coach quotes to go through. Not too bad. The injury stuff is like condensed on like a couple teams. There's like a couple teams with injury issues, but the rest of it's pretty clean. So hopefully it should be a pretty quick show.
Yep. Last note on the in-season tournament stuff for next year, and file it away. But I was not available to take advantage because I wasn't watching games and stuff. But I was following the end of the Golden State Sacramento game from bed, like not watching the game, just like on my phone. And if I'm in that situation, I'm not like at my main screens. I'm not live betting. I'm not doing stuff like that because I just don't. I can't pay attention enough to know how far behind I am the line that I'm getting. But I was thinking when the Kings were down like 4-6 in the last minute and a half of the game, I was thinking, I wonder if this live line on the money line is priced correctly, because the Warriors' incentives are not to win this game. They're to win by a certain amount. And thus they may do stuff that is chasing that result and putting them at more likelihood of losing this game, right? Like shooting threes, short shot clock when you're really up 4 with 30 seconds left or something like that, right? And it didn't play out that way, that the Warriors just turned the ball over a bunch, but it's an opportunity where pricing algorithms are not prepared for these types of situations before. They haven't seen them before, so they're probably not priced appropriately. I'm not saying that I have a pricing model that would have given me a really good price on that, but just off of feel, I think there might have been live betting opportunities when the incentives are not aligned for teams. And so that is something to think about for future years if the point differential stuff holds, if this is the key to kind of the end of group play. There may be some really good live betting opportunities as well.
Yeah, in hindsight, I thought about taking Boston to cover and New York to cover because they're going to try to run it up, right? Like that would have, and like I just didn't feel comfortable with it because they were huge lines, but not huge enough. So that was pretty, but that was fun though. I really enjoyed, just something new. I always have new stuff, but to see teams run it up like that, is pretty cool.
Yeah, I know that there were people in our betting Discord that bet heavily on Celtics minus 12.5 and push that line up to like 14 and whatnot, which I think makes sense. But it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, books will adjust to this information more next year with more information that they get. But anytime you get these different situations, there's new opportunities that you could find value. And I think if you are living in these markets and paying attention, you will get a feel for like, oh, this price is not taking into account any of this. And I don't know if it's for sure going to happen, but I know there's a chance that it's going to happen. If it's a chance that's going to happen, I'm directionally correct on this bet. And that's stuff that I think if you're making bets, you should be thinking through in general. Okay, let's get to this slate. 7 games on the docket. Let's start with the Lakers and Detroit. Lakers on the front end of a back-to-back here. So I do think, and they play at OKC tomorrow, which is a conference game. That's a pretty, all the conference games are fairly important when it comes down to playoff positioning and whatnot. So I am a little bit more on alert for the LeBron questionable tag and the AD probable tag than I normally would be. Those have been consistent tags for a week or so. Cam Reddish is also upgraded to probable here. So it sounds like they're getting Cam Reddish back tonight, which will help spread out the rotation a little bit. But what are your notes? Still out for Gabe Vincent, Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura. I should note that. What are your notes on the Lakers here?
Yeah, so for matchups, I've been writing LeBron. I literally write fake Q when I do his matchup notes. Didn't write it today. As you mentioned, they get OKC tomorrow against a team that can't win games. They just gotten like your coach just went off after the Wizards beat you. That's how down bad you are. So certainly, if you had to pick a spot to rest, pick a better one than this one. You kind of can't. So I think this is a chance for him to rest up here. I think they'll probably be okay with that. But they are missing people. He has been playing through back to backs when he isn't injured, or actually, I should say when he is more injured. So leaning in, I think, but definitely not a situation. We've been betting into LeBron Q tags before, kind of knowing he was going to play. We will not be doing that today. I think there's a chance that he could miss to give him some rest because the spot just kind of calls for it. 80 probably good. We'll see. We'll see what the minutes look like. 7 point spread, not too bad. I kind of want to bet that because Detroit's defense is a complete disaster, which I can get to in a second. But yeah, so they'll have Cam Reddish back. Does he start? Probably. I think Max Christie was in a pretty good groove, and maybe had they not get blown out for LeBron's biggest blowout loss of his career, then maybe Max Christie could have held because he was kind of playing pretty well. But Tyrese Maxey torched him. So I think Cam Reddish gets his job back. Probably minutes cap on him coming back from a pretty severe groin injury as well. So that will make the rotation a little bit, a little wingier. So Christian Wood could lose some minutes. Maybe Jackson Hayes loses some overlap. Maybe there isn't as much Austin Reeves and D'Lo overlap. That was going away before Cam Reddish got hurt. They were running 2 minutes total in the 2 games before Cam Reddish got hurt. So I think that Cam kind of low key affects D'Lo and Austin Reeves, but I think Austin Reeves could really crush. On-ball players have done really well against the Pistons. The Pistons are like very Pacers-y, where they just funnel everything to their big man, Jalen Duren, much like Miles Turner, really good shot blocker, but their rim numbers are just so high in volume that they give it up. So pretty good spot for LeBron, who's going to get Isaiah Stewart. Obviously, the Isaiah Stewart fighting thing was I watched that clip again this morning. Man, it was so good. So you got that going on there. But I think the Lakers are in a pretty good spot to handle the Pistons. I think they cover. I haven't bet it yet, but I think they're going to have a big bounce back win after LeBron's embarrassing loss.
Do you anticipate the minutes ceiling for LeBron and AD being the same as it normally is front end of a back-to-back here against OKC?
Mm-hmm.
We know in the very beginning of the season, LeBron was managed
Mm-hmm.
in terms of minutes limitations. That went away kind of relatively quickly. Would you be projecting them at less than full given the context of front end of back-to-back here?
Yeah, like I would probably treat it as if it's like maybe a 9 point spread, kind of taking into the account of the back to back and all that. So we usually take like halves minutes depending on the player. But at the same time, we've seen them run up minutes pretty good, even in back to backs. They didn't in their last blowout because they were up so much against Utah. But yeah, I think I would want to bake in a little bit of risk given the back to back, who they're playing and who they're playing tomorrow.
Yep. Yeah, and I expect LeBron more likely to play than not. But the matchup, like we speculated on this before, with the Portland Dallas back to back that they had before. He played through those in terms of the minutes ceiling in those. Or sorry, the Utah Dallas back to back. He played in those. In the Utah game, they blew him out. Right, he only played 24 minutes. Played 36 minutes the next night against Dallas in kind of that same spot. They had another spot with Memphis and Sacramento with this as well. Played 23 minutes in a blowout win. Then the next night played 35. So it's hard to tell because they won those games by a combined 59 points, the front end of those games. But I think it's important here just in terms of the full ceiling upside. I don't think he's playing I don't think 38 is on the docket tonight. I think 35 might be the ceiling for LeBron tonight, would be kind of the way that I'm thinking through things. Yeah. And I'd be a little bit more cautious here from a DFS standpoint.
I think their plan is to be what they've been doing, which is blow the team out on the front end of a back-to-back, manage the minutes. That seems like the most what they want to do. So yeah, we're suggesting there's a chance he could sit. It's a small chance. Like I'm pretty sure he's going to play. It's just you can't be betting into it because if you're wrong and you bet overs, unders on, anybody, you're going to be hurting because LeBron's role has been really, really growing.
Yep. Okay. Detroit side of things, they're still with that Bojan Bogdanovic, Joe Harris, Monty Morris, Jared Roden, Stanley Umude, the G League guys. So what are your notes on the Detroit side of things here?
So nothing really injury-wise, but Monty Williams was hot. They played some of the worst defensive basketball I've ever seen all season. Just missed assignments, missed rotations, you name it. Missed just not getting back on transition against a team that plays fast. This is like coaching 101. So yeah, we'll see who could be on thin ice. I thought Ivy wasn't like a Cade. Actually, I think the biggest culprit was Cade. Cade was so bad defensively. Can't really do anything with your franchise player. Weissman was terrible. Livers was horrendous. He was just all out of sorts. So I think Livers, Weissman, maybe Sasser, who had a really bad game. Those guys could maybe at risk, but I think they keep the starting lineup the same. But that second unit could change here. Maybe Alec Burks gets pushed up. Haven't looked at minutes yet. Maybe they bring Kevin Knox in, who Monty spoke up. He was pissed, and you don't see that out of him very often. So definitely on alert for rotation changes for a team that got embarrassed against the Wizards.
Yeah, speaking of the Wizards, let's move to them in their game with Orlando. No notable injuries on the injury report here. Still without DeLon Wright, who's going to miss a bunch of time. We did see Jordan Poole down at 25 minutes last game, coming off of the missed game with the ankle-related issues. I wondered after the game if there were any sort of limitations on Jordan Poole or if it was just performance that dictated this. But you can see like the rest of the starters, Kuzma got up to 35. They were playing their main guys like pretty normal minutes through blowout time. Kuzma with the homecoming narrative. Shout out to Gary for flag planting him on that show. Yeah. What are your notes on Poole and the rest of the Wizards here?
Yeah, he was, quote, fine, according to Wes Unseld, and they wanted to go with a little bit more Shamet, a little more Bilal Coulibaly. We saw Denny get affected a little bit there. That's why. So this is it. This is Jordan Poole. I'm sure you guys have seen the clips of him making silly mistakes. This is the Jordan Poole experience. We kind of know what we're going to be getting out of him. So yeah, the minute ceiling is there, but the minutes floor is also there. He could be really, really bad there. So we're taking. We have injury management docs, we have back-to-back docs, we have blowout docs, and we're having Jordan Poole docs now because he's that kind of a player. So, and they do want to play Bilal Coulibaly, right? So there's incentive to play someone else. So it's just the bottom could drop out. So like cash game, never cash Poole, but he does have ceiling in certain spots, including this one. Really bad on-ball defense from the Lakers. So he's got ceiling, but he could totally crater.
Yeah, Jordan Poole just feels like
sorry, he doesn't play. He's not playing the Lakers. I'm sorry, I got that mixed up. But Orlando's a terrible matchup. But
yeah,
get my point.
Jordan Poole feels like a Succession child character at this point, just totally an unserious person from an NBA standpoint. Watching the games, you'll see if you watch as much basketball as we do, you'll see a lot of bad basketball during the course of the year. Mm-hmm. You don't see what he's doing out there on the court, which feels like he's in his own sort of like and one mixed tour game that's going on within an NBA game. And there have been and one mixed tour guys who have played at the NBA level, like Rafer Alston. He never looked like the way Jordan Poole is approaching games in terms of like a lack of seriousness to it. And some of the stuff that he's trying is like just trying to show off skill sets and talents, and literally Rafer Alston was skipped to my Luke. He did this stuff on the and one tour, and he never looked like this in NBA games. So it's just very confusing to me. Watching Jordan Poole, it's incredibly frustrating. All right, let's move to the Orlando side. Jonathan Isaac gets a questionable tag here. They're still without Wendell Carter Jr. and Markelle Fultz. It's been frustrating that there hasn't been any sort of like positive updates on Markelle Fultz with this tendonitis on the knee, which, just a concern that it's a knee related issue for Fultz. What are your notes on Isaac and the questionable tag here and the rest of the Magic?
Yeah, he had some warm-up issues, and they kind of late scratched him, so should be back. But it's Jonathan Isaac. They definitely could be cautious. We know how long he's been out. So, yeah, not much of a read there. I could definitely see them sitting him out, though. Yeah, so Fultz we talked about this when he first had it. He had a tendonitis tag, and then it got downgraded like a soreness tag, plays a couple games, and then he's back with this. So clearly a setback here. Other than that, I expect him to start the same lineup here. Gotten really good minutes out of Cole Anthony, partly because they've lost a little bit of trust out of Anthony Black. So I think Cole Anthony in obviously a great matchup against the Wizards, who are just bad in like almost every category. Bigs kill them. Goga could really pop off here. We'll see if Mo Wagner can get going here. Just big. They're the worst team at allowing offensive rebounds, putback points, like every center stat you want. They just give it up. So great spot for Powell, great spot for Goga. And then I could see Mo Wagner having a big game off the bench.
All right, let's move to Phoenix and Toronto. On the Phoenix side of things, Kevin Durant with a questionable tag once again, as is Grayson Allen. Grayson Allen's listing is illness related, not specified on the non-COVID. Usually it's non-COVID illness. So that was kind of interesting to me that it wasn't specified in that way. But Grayson and KD questionable here. What are your notes on the Suns?
Yeah, so Kevin Durant went through a pretty vigorous workout at Madison Square Garden, and it looked like he was going to play. Like it was, I was watching the Suns broadcast, and he was like making some pretty aggressive cuts. He looked pretty good. So goes through practice as well. So feel pretty good he's going to play. Frank Vogel said they're going to kind of update his availability, make sure he goes through. So I would expect him almost certainly to be a game time decision here. I think he goes. Maybe not the high minute stuff. We've seen him like flirt with 40 sometimes. So maybe they're more in like the low 30s, something along those lines here. So we'll expect him to start. Yeah, I don't know about Grayson. Expected them to probably start Okogie here. I wouldn't be surprised if it's KBD though. Get a little bit more size for Pascal. So that would make sense. Actually, that probably makes sense. So I think they would probably start KBD if Grayson's out. Eric Gordon, huge game, really big first quarter to help get the Suns just kind of carry them to the finish line after the Knicks made a little bit of a comeback late, but before Booker had the game winner. But yeah, so that'll be, I expect the starting lineup. Certainly a little bit of a Okogie. They've got Yuta back. No Nazir Little as well for personal reasons for a baby. So good reasons for him. So that could also maybe help KBD get a little bit more of a ceiling here if Grayson can't go.
Yeah, this was a really nice win for them. We talked on our podcast about how, the concern with Phoenix is not the ceiling, it's the floor with Bradley Beal missing all this time is can they kind of hold on, and getting these wins against good opponents without Kevin Durant, that's like huge in terms of being able to maintain that floor from a seeding perspective when we get to playoff time for Phoenix. So really big win from them there. Eric Gordon, Devin Booker were sensational. Booker closing things down. Toronto side of things in this game, no real big injury notes here. Same G Leaguers they're still without Christian Koloko. What are your notes on the Raptors tonight?
Yeah, not much. They had a pretty tight game last night. Could pull up this box score here. Sorry, taking a little second here. But yeah, you see pretty strong minutes here. OG got 37, Pascal got 35, 36 out of Scotty back-to-back against the Suns team that could be pretty loaded. So I expect them to start. And good amount of Gary Trent. Like he's clearly been the main bench guy after having some injuries and kind of a bad preseason. So he's kind of back. Clearly, they're 6-man. We'll see if that affects Pirtle in certain matchups. It makes sense, right? You kind of need as much on-ball defense as you can get. And so matchup-wise, I was really stuck on this, on figuring out who guards who. And like I went into it thinking it'd be Schroeder guarding Booker because that's kind of their default. Have Schroeder pick up the point guard. But they've gone with him, Halliburton getting the OG assignment. So, and they've used Scotty Barnes as the Tatum assignment. So I ended on OG on Booker, Scotty on Durant. Obviously, if Durant's out, OG's for sure getting Booker. So that's kind of how I feel about the matchup stuff. But does it even matter? Booker's that freaking good right now. The role's so good. Let me get the stat here. The Gordon, Durant, and Booker lineups, their offensive rating is 137.9. Just ridiculous output from them. Number 2 among 559 lineups. The number 1 lineup, 3-man combo. Joel Embiid, Nick Batum, and D'Anthony Melton, your original guy. I was surprised to see no Maxey on that top one. But so that covers the Raptors.
All right, let's move to Philadelphia. Speaking of my original guy, D'Anthony Melton, and New Orleans, probably the game of the night. From the Philadelphia side, Kelly Oubre Jr. still ruled out, but there was positive reporting on him. Jaden Springer, they'll still be without, and then without the G League guys and Daniel House as well. What's the update on Oubre? When can we expect him back, even though it's not tonight? And how do you expect Philadelphia to look after their really impressive performance against the Lakers last time out?
Yeah, just insane fourth quarter to ice them with really, really excellent shooting. But yeah, let's pick the same starting lineup. Nick Batum's been awesome. And Maxey had the green light. He talked to Nick Nurse about being extra aggressive. We know Anthony Davis was going to handle Embiid and kept him in check as a scorer, but triple-double, I think is fifth all-time for Embiid. And that's been a thing, man. He's been slinging it. The front court touches have been like Jokic-like, excluding that little 2-game sample when Jokic played all the minutes or whatever. Like he's been running like Jokic-like distribution and role. just from like how much he touches the ball and it impacts the offense. So he's off to a really, really good start. Cover boy, Joel Embiid for me. He's torched Valanciunas in the last 2 games he played him. Expect to play a lot of him. Really weak interior defense from the Pelicans. They actually give up a lot of catch and shoot stuff too. So Embiid and a lot of off-ball shooting, I think, is the key. So kind of like the Anthony Melton. They're also really bad at transition defense. So it's kind of a sneaky Melton spot. But yeah, could see pretty elevated minutes. I think Tobias gets the Zion matchup. And then obviously Melton would get Brandon Ingram as well. But yeah, pretty much straightforward. Maybe we see a little bit more Covington and not as much Beverly. But yeah, kind of locked and loaded. Oubre has a chance to come back on Friday. So that would probably bump Batum back. But Batum's been really good for them in floor spacing and just help defense role.
I don't know that it will. I kind of think you could see Oubre in the scoring role off the bench, that they've been trying to fill that a little bit more with like Marcus Morris of late and different things like that. But I think you could see that role. Just a testament to like how good the 76ers have looked since that trade. They've gotten a lot of production out of Batum and Covington in ways that don't fill up the traditional box score, but really help with floor spacing and just kind of raising the overall floor on this team. And Joel's passing has been a big part of that as well. It's also, I think, like Philadelphia's had so many secondary benefits from this Harden trade in terms of improving Joel's game as a whole, in terms of making him have to be more of a passer because teams are going to load up on him more. I think it's been a really, really good thing for Philadelphia, just in the development of Joel as a player as well. He's taken his game to another level this year as well, the reigning MVP. New Orleans side of things, CJ McCollum upgraded to probable, so that's great news. We'll get CJ McCollum back, we expect tonight. Trey Murphy, first notice here, doubtful tag. That's a positive sign as well, because as we've been talking about the last few weeks, he's just been out and out and out, and this was around the time we were expecting him back. Matt Ryan also listed doubtful with the right calf strain. What do you expect to see from the Pelicans tonight?
So I was all excited about breaking down this CJ McCollum and kind of like almost inform you guys that he was going to play today, because I listened to his podcast and he basically said he was going to play today. So I was a little sad because I could have had the goods, because I didn't think anybody put that out from I'm grinding CJ McCollum's podcast. Like that's the grind levels that I live in. But I could give you the details that he talked about though. So he has been doing 3 times a day workouts, including going to work with the G League squadron. So he says he's kind of in game shape here. So he actually didn't fly to Utah. They wanted to kind of keep him back for the lung issues. He talked to his lung doctor, and he said it's probably best to stay behind. So he's in shape
because of altitude, is what you're saying.
Yeah, because of altitude. Yep. So they decided to keep him back, and because he could have played. It's like if they would have had a home game, they probably would have played him. So he's good to go. We got a minutes limit on him. He said his rib injury, which obviously caused the collapsed lung issue, he says that's healed. So he's given the impression he's 100% on his podcast. And again, he got the Q tag to start, but he's playing. So also should note Willie Green in his last presser, or maybe 2 pressers ago, said they really missed the initiating from CJ and their offense, possibly attributing their 2 losses to Utah. So I would expect CJ to get the start. That would bump Dyson Daniels back to the bench role, backing up Herb. So Herb would be the primary now on Tyrese Maxey. We've seen Dyson Daniels pick up the top option ball handling wise almost regardless, and Herb would get the number 1 off ball guy. So now it's Herb. So I think Herb for sure guards Maxey, unless they bring CJ off the bench, which they could. And then, this affects Jose Alvarado, I think, the most, because they have a lot of handling. Zion's led the team in touch time for their last 4 games. Ingram obviously handles a bunch. So yeah, this affects Zion a little bit. Zion's cooking. His last 4 games have been his highest half-court scoring output games in all the season. So he's fixed his half-court issue. Zion's playing really well at the right time. They're getting healthy. So yeah, Pelicans are kind of alive, hopefully for a long time. I hate to see him get hurt again.
Yep. Let's move to Utah and Memphis. On the Utah side of things, Jordan Clarkson questionable, Kelly Olynyk questionable. They have listed out Chris Dunn and Larry Markkinen along with their G League guys. We've talked about how they're intending to shift lineups around and test things out a bunch, and Will Hardy's just looking for guys who are going to play hard. They did get some nice wins against New Orleans of late with these second unit guys kind of in the starting lineup. Fontecchio, you're at 7, so on and so forth. What are your expectations for the Jazz tonight?
Yeah, really nice win from them. And so back-to-back situation here is certainly one you want to keep an eye on. Not really serious injuries that are listed for Jordan Clarkson and Kelly Olynyk. Certainly think one could miss. Now that they lost Chris Dunn, who started for Clarkson over the weekend, maybe Clarkson's more likely to play here. I don't really have a great read on this situation. It sounds like they've got a chance to go, like with some shoot around stuff, but keep an eye on it. Definitely a team that's not great at 6-11 could see them, sitting guys out in a road game against one of the worst teams in the league. So, I think they're in, but could definitely see him sit. Next question is, does Omer Yurtseven keep starting? He's been pretty good. Didn't close last game as Walker Kessler was on a 21 to 26 minute limit. 26. Played great, really good matchup. This time, not so much. The Grizzlies are elite at rim protection, even though their offense is a disaster. They do allow a lot of blocks. They allow the most blocks in the NBA per game. So it could be, if he could grind his way to a double-double, pick up 3-4 blocks, Blocker Kessler could pay off for you there. And the minutes are going to be there. Like, he's going to close, could get to upper 20s. Second unit's trash, so maybe he can kind of get it going there. So keep an eye on that. Grizzlies on-ball defense is so bad. They're, I think, second worst in pick and roll handler defense per possession. So it could be Keontae George to get going here. Shot the ball like crap. He still doesn't have it going there yet, but really good spot for him. That would get better, obviously, if Jordan Clarkson's out. Not a great matchup for Jordan Clarkson with good rim protection. He's better in those like drive downhill kind of games, which is not there. So yeah, but I expect Simone Fontecchio to start again. And now that they have done out, we kind of know they're 10, assuming they have the guys in. If they don't, then maybe it tightens. They probably bring Lukas Samanic in to be the backup 4, and they could run it tighter. That would help Ochai Agbaji and run a little bit tighter guard/forward rotation.
Okay. On the Memphis side of things, they're still without Steven Adams, Brandon Clark, Luke Kennard, Jake LaRavia, Marcus Smart, John Morant, Xavier Tillman, Angie Leaguer, Gigi Jackson. What does that mean for the Memphis Grizzlies tonight?
So we saw a second half lineup change here because we've been seeing Santi Aldama get like pretty big role, but that got cut down because guess what time it is? As the Grizzlies, I got kind of kicked out here. As the Grizzlies kind of switched to David Roddy, so I think they're going to go back to Aldama. Other than that, not too much to take away from. And the rotation's been a disaster, man. Like we're seeing. Zaire go in and out, Conchar get nuked in and out, maybe Rose he just has no answers. This team's so bad.
Yeah. It's really tough to decipher. And then the minutes yo-yo on Jaren Jackson Jr. has been really tough because some games he's at like 27, 28. Then he gets these games where he gets up to 37, even though that they lose this game by 20. There's just a lot of searching going on with Memphis, and it's very difficult to project on a night in and night out basis. All right, let's move to Houston and Denver. Houston on the second night of a back-to-back after a very disappointing loss in Dallas last night that could have sealed their berth in the in-season tournament. You noted yesterday there were some probable tags that were on the injury report for Houston that I'm sure we're watching out for today. Still waiting to see if this next injury report highlights any of them, but what are your notes here on Houston?
Yeah, we might get that right now, actually. So we'll see. But Fred VanVleet was listed with a finger. Tari Eason's almost certainly not going to play. He has that leg fracture. They limited him in the back-to-back game there. Dylan Brooks also got a P tag. So those are the 3 guys we're kind of keeping an eye out here. But yeah, we can come back to the rest, as I think we may get that report right now with Denver.
All right. Well, on the Denver side, we've got a whole lot of questionables. So Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, and Jamal Murray all listed questionable here, as is Hunter Tyson. Peyton Watson listed probable. What are your expectations for the Nuggets tonight?
Well, we actually just got news on the Nuggets. It's very minor news, but they just sent Braxton Key, Jay Huff, and Pickett to their G League team. So that's a pretty good indication that Jamal Murray should be back. Jokic should be back. Probably Aaron Gordon should be back. It seems like they're going to have everybody back. Jamal will have a minutes limit, no question, returning from a hamstring after this much time off. I think Jokic is probably good to go. Seemed like a maintenance back-to-back thing. And who needs him when you got big government out there to bury the Clippers and DeAndre Jordan hanging 20 balls and double-doubles and all that good stuff. So, I think that they're mostly going to be back in action, definitely limitations. And we'll see how many minutes they can play. We know Mike Malone hasn't liked his second unit much.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I mean, does the game in LA change the dynamics of Mike Malone's confidence in the second unit? If you've got Jamal Murray back, you've got Nikola Jokic back, that shifts Reggie Jackson and DeAndre Jordan into that second unit role. How do you think any dynamics could potentially change there? Do you think the performance from Reggie Jackson and DeAndre Jordan has shored up his confidence in that role? Or do you think there was never confidence issues with those two positions? It's the other 3 positions on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, we know they're in. I feel very confident that DeAndre Jordan has iced Zeke Naji. I felt kind of that way going into it, perhaps a little too much because he was that first sub. What and was it the Friday game, whatever it was.
Yep.
So yeah, those guys are in. Like they're definitely Reggie Jackson off the bench, DeAndre Jordan off the bench. That's 7. I think Peyton Watson and I'm sorry, Christian Braun, that would be 8. And then I think Peyton Watson may have the inside track from Julian Strother, especially with the Rockets having some size. So that's kind of how I play it out. But yeah, we know the 8. It's just the scraps for the 9 are what we need to figure out. Zeke's just no way. I'd be shocked if Zeke plays today.
Yep. Houston did not submit at the 2:30 mark. So any notes you want to go over for Houston, because we're not gonna be on for the 3:30 submission when we'll probably get information from them. You mentioned Tari Eason as the player to watch, but also Dylan Brooks. Any other notes on the Houston side of things?
No, I think they're going to play, but just something to keep an eye on. Maybe except for Tari, right? So then maybe we'll see Jock Landale get in there. Jock Landale's toast. They probably need to play a little bigger. And then it's also worth noting too that the last time they played the Nuggets, which was the Friday in-season tournament game. That's the Şengün 43-minute game. So when Şengün could play 43 minutes with what he is getting, they are just running so much offense through him right now. He's just a big miss for me. I didn't think he was going to be this good. So yeah, Şengün, I bet his overs. That was nice, but and I almost got a 26-1 triple double. But yeah, big Şengün spot here, especially if Jokic is a little limited with the back injury.
Yeah, I think teams are realizing the value of being able to run offense through big men who can pass. Right? It's long been the way in this league. Whether it's the Gasol brothers, whether it's way back with Wilt and Bill Russell and whatnot. But like Jokic, I think has really highlighted that value offensively, and a lot of those concerns that Alper and Şengün had coming in the league were the same concerns people had on Jokic. Is the defense going to be able to play? Well, maybe if the defense can get to passable, if the offense is good enough, we can carry things. And Alper and Şengün is not Nikola Jokic, but stylistically, there's some similarities there. And Houston has certainly leaned into having him be their Jokic in terms of running all the offense through him, which has been nice to see this year.
One other thing to add too, Udoka, he loves to make the top option, opponent's top option on offense work. So that's a thing. So Şengün's just going to be in that's been his thing since the Boston days. He loves to hunt and wear dudes out. So Şengün's assuming no injuries or anything, which he looked fine. Really big, early fourth quarter, late third that got him going. But yeah, Şengün's in a great spot.
All right, Clippers and Sacramento. Clippers, no injury notes here. Still without Brandon Boston Jr. and Mason Plumlee. Any other notes you have on the Clippers?
Just James Harden's not good anymore. His usage rate has dropped in every single game over his last 6 games. His usage rate on Monday was his lowest since I think 2021. I don't know what's going on here. So he looks terrible. Lou was not happy with the defense. Really bad game from Paul George. Kawhi was terrific, much to our chagrin. And then this rotation is pretty much straight. We did see PJ Tucker get cut out a little bit. That was a little bit of a surprise. But the Tice has been great. Tice has been on a minutes limit and he's kind of ditched it. But we'll see. This is a really, really, just an embarrassing game for Denver to be that shorthanded when they own you, right? The Nuggets have owned the Clippers and they go out there and get embarrassed and lose the fourth quarter by 20. Curious to see how Lou plays it because it's just unacceptable to have that kind of performance.
Yep. All right. On the Sacramento side, they have not submitted. Second end of back-to-back. Big win last night gets them in the in-season tournament. I would not be surprised to see, something pop up here just because that was kind of a pretty emotional win. And this is a potential letdown spot after that. But generally, Sacramento's main guys are so freaking durable, Sabonis and Fox, that I don't worry about this too much. I guess we're looking for Keegan news if there's anything there that changes on Keegan's status. Otherwise, it's probably clean. Herter had popped up the week before on stuff, so 33 minutes last night. Maybe there's some risk there, but they're pretty shorthanded without Keegan Murray right now. What are your notes on the Kings?
Yeah, Keegan, right? We talked about him having a couple more boxes to check to play. He got the doubtful tag, and then right after we got off the air, he got rolled out, which was fun. But so yeah, I expect him to probably get the Q tag here. If they maybe wanted to play him in the front end of a back-to-back for this game, maybe sit him. So probably Q-tag, definitely a good chance he could sit. And I do want to try to pull something up here. The minutes, I had the minutes game that we played on the DFS show.
Yep.
I had number 1, Fred VanVleet. He finished second. I had De'Aaron Fox number 2. He finished third. Do you know who finished number 1, Dink? He wasn't in my list.
Number 1 in minutes last night. Bam Adebayo.
You got it. Yeah, did not see that coming. This is. I feel like I crushed this list. Like I got Dame I had on there. He was so that was fun little exercise. I'll definitely do that again when it calls for it. But De'Aaron we knew he was going to play a lot. Expect him to be out there. He is playing through this ankle thing that he's had a grade 3 ankle injury before, so he should be okay and out there. But tough-ish matchup. Going to see a lot of Terrence Mann. The Clippers have handled ball handlers, but he's actually crushed the Clippers, 31 per game in 4 games against us last year. So I could definitely see De'Aaron Fox completely coasting as well. And then, just shout out Mike Brown. I mean, they had a front court lineup of Trey Lyles, Sasha Vezenkov, and Sabonis against the Warriors. You usually don't see teams go that big with a lot of Monk and Fox in the backcourt. So, really great win. Got to be one of the best wins, really, of any team, considering the stakes of the season. Just a marvelous and entertaining game to close out in-season tournament first round.
As I noted, I was unable to watch, but just following from some of the commentary from accounts that I respect on Twitter and also the play-by-play on my phone, it seemed like a game that finally they allowed Vezenkov to do a little bit more stuff than just kind of stand in the corner on offense, stand in the corner on defense. The Warriors' motion offense will force you to defend a little bit more than just stand in the corner on defense. So I thought that was encouraging, just in terms of for the Kings. He's a talented player, and they don't have a lot of talent, like high-end talent on the bench. He's always going to be competing with Trey Lyles, but if Trey Lyles can earn the backup center, then Vezenkov could be the backup 4 potentially in spots. And again, this is like nerd stuff, deep league stuff, whatever. But like, I thought that was an encouraging sign for the Kings as a whole to get a little bit more production out of him. Because when they brought him over this year, I think they were hoping for a little bit more than what they've gotten so far.
Yeah, for sure. And could we get Duarte out of there? I was like, we had him at 22 minutes for a starter is like really light. And I was like, God, this is too hot. But we couldn't bring him down really anymore because he was getting decent minutes here. So yeah, just get him out of there, man. Like let Trey Lyles start and then bring Keegan back. Maybe Keegan does actually start. So yeah, we'll get the Keegan news. Probably expect that in 2 hours.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. As always, if you're enjoying the free content that we provide here, please consider subscribing to this YouTube channel and get notifications whenever we go live. If you're interested in more of our content behind the paywall, you can check out establishedrun.com/subscribe-MBA for more information about the product offerings that we have, including our in-season DFS coverage that includes Mike Gallagher's matchups column 3 times a week, top plays 6 times a week, live shows 5 times a week, and projections updating for every game, every scenario of the season, 7 days a week. All NBA games, we've got you covered 6 days a week this week because there's no NBA on Sunday, but 7 days a week normally. We've got you covered. So check out all that along with the props package, which is up to $59.99 a week. You can read the FAQ more closely if you are interested in more information around our props package. And if you really want to support this free content in the best way possible, best way to do it is feed that algorithm. So whether it's holding down firmly, pressing gently, caressing. Oh no, you lost me now? Am I back? No? Nothing?
Can't hear Nothing? You. I'll take it. Support the content. Give the like button. Press it. Caress it. Hug it. Could do an Eskimo kiss it. Put your nose on there if you want to do that. Do whatever you like. And eat it up. Feed the algorithm. Feed our families. And we'll catch you guys next time. Take care.